Welcome to the midweek video. Today I wanted to look at Proverbs 6 verses 6 and up to 19. Quite an interesting little section really. The writer, who we know is Solomon, says there are 6 things that God hates. No, 7 things that the Lord detests. Now, it's quite an interesting statement in itself really, because it would seem that he's forgotten. He's not sure how many things God hates or detests. Is it 6 or is it 7? Well, what Solomon's doing here is using something that were done in Old Testament writings, and he's actually using something to say it's not really exhaustive. Is it 6? Oh, it might be 7. It's used in the sense that it's not an exhaustive list. It's not a full list of the things that God hates, but a sample really of what God hates. So that's the first thing to notice, that little statement. It concerns really that it's not a full list. But secondly, he says 6 things that God hates. Oh no, 7 things he detests. Now this word detest actually is abomination. And we often hear of certain sins being classed as an abomination to God. And certainly we would class certain sins that we aren't really involved in, sins that don't really affect us, as an abomination to God. But what this proverb actually says to us is that all sin is an abomination to God. And it's really interesting because of the subjects that it covers. It talks about haughty eyes. It talks about attitude. So the first thing is attitude. That having the wrong attitude is something that is God hates. That's an abomination to him. Attitude. Sometimes the wrongful thinking about things. It talks about the plotted evil. Thoughts weren't good. It also goes on to talk about people lying to a neighbour, lying to a friend. But then there's also the official lying, if you want, and that is being in court and offering a false witness. And then it goes on to talk about actions. It talks about doing things, speeding towards doing wrongful actions. And so there are the actions which are abomination to God. And then in the list, it concludes with influence. It talks about those who sows a bad influence in families. And so what we have got here is the writer saying there are 7 things that God hates or are abominations. It's not a full list, but just to make you aware, says the writer, these are some of the things which can be an abomination to God. It can quite easily be our attitude to things. It can be our thoughts which don't honour God and he finds an abomination. It could be speech that is not honouring to God in terms of lying, but other speech as well. Actions that God might find an abomination. And also, as we just said, having a bad influence. And so, as we reflect on all these things, we need to actually think to ourselves, well, actually, it's not certain things which sins that God finds an abomination, but he finds sin an abomination. Therefore, if I don't want to grieve God, I need to think about my attitude towards others. I need to control my mind. What is it I'm thinking? What is it that I'm saying? Does that always honour God? My actions, do they always honour God? And they come from thoughts. So you can see how it starts with the attitude, the thoughts, the speech, the actions, and influence. Let's be people in all these different areas of life that do our utmost that we might not be sinful in God's sight and grieving him by all these sins. God bless.